Welcome to 4,000 Weeks, the weekly audio dispatch from 4kweeks.com. I am Spencer, and it is week 43 of the year 2025. The first thing that I owe you this week is well, you know what? Last week we did it this way. I gave you the punchline to the joke and then the setup at the end, and I'm going to do that again because I think that's funny. And if you hate it, you can let me know. Otherwise, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. The punchline to the dad joke of the week is, it was known for laying deviled eggs. It was known for laying deviled eggs. Let's see if you can discern the setup just with the punchline, and we will dive into this email. Week 43 of 2025 has arrived. A year is full of seasons. I'm going to think about this a lot lately. I always think about this. It's easy in most places to watch the seasons change, especially if you're in middle age. You've seen enough of the world to know what's coming, and I feel like you're starting to take this cycle of life internally and understand it. And a life is full of seasons also, but I think like because each season is novel, we're not as good at noticing the gradual change. It's time for you to walk over to your 4K Weeks poster and fill in another square. Are you finished? So the reason I bring that up is because I know that I'm shifting into a new season of life. And you can see episode 3 of the kind of the main indicator of this new season on YouTube, or you can get the link in the email. I think it's the best one that we've done yet. We're doing one each week for 8 weeks. We're on episode 3 right now. I heard Tim Ferriss a while back talk about how he basically is good for like somewhere between 5 to 10 years of a thing. And then he shifts into some new phase. And I mean, I think that new phase can still contain a lot of elements of the old. Sometimes it's, sometimes your kids are leaving and that's a new phase. And I mean, I think we're at the beginning of that. We're at the beginning of acknowledging that that's going to happen. But I think it's just easier to see this in your life if you're past 40. And then you start looking back and you can start you can draw brackets around chunks of things that were like, oh, I was doing that. And then I shifted to doing this. It's just really useful to notice the seasons of your life changing, because then you can kind of be intentional about it. And I've noticed the leaves falling from the trees in my own life a lot recently. When we bought 4K Weeks, I was looking for my next e-commerce venture. We had sold a big company, and COVID had kind of wiped the project board of the sculpture studio clean, right? It was a really interesting time if I think back that, one business just stopped overnight, right? Just literally projects that were going to happen just disappeared and didn't come back. But on the other hand, another business, kind of benefited from that upheaval in a weird way. And so I didn't have to grieve one because I was so focused on the other. And so, then we sold that brand and we bought 4K Weeks, and that's just the thing that I was doing because the sculpture studio was like on the back burner, just inevitably. And, over time that I didn't really know what 4K Weeks was when we bought it. I think, every e-commerce flavor has its own skill set that's required. And so we didn't really know what it was. And over time, writing this weekly newsletter has become the highlight of my time with 4K Weeks. It is this podcast and the newsletter is my favorite thing about the business. And in fact, really the only parts that I enjoy doing regularly, week in, week out. Much of the rest of the business just hasn't held my attention. But as of today, I have written the email every single week for 3 years. And that's crazy to think about. That's 156 or more weekly emails. And then about 2 years, we're probably right about 2 years of podcasts too. And so I hope you find it worth it. Like, I hope you enjoy this because I enjoy doing it. It's a ton of work to do the newsletter and the podcast. It's work that's not reflected in the profit and loss statement of 4K Weeks. But not everything is profit and loss statements, although, we do have to manage things by profit and loss statements. But 3 years of weekly emails. It's surprising that I still have something to say some weeks, but hopefully you're still listening. Week 43 of 1986. Artist and social activist Keith Haring was commissioned by Checkpoint Charlie to paint a 300-meter mural on the Berlin Wall. Man, we went to Berlin last year, and I grew up in that era, right? I remember when Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall, right? And it's still staggering to see the evidence of an authoritarian, autocratic regime and the infrastructure it built that still stands today. Right? We went to Checkpoint Charlie. The entry from one Berlin into the other Berlin, right? From democracy into communism. And it is heavy. It's still heavy. There, but for the grace of God go we, right? Quote of the week. Until you value yourself, you won't value your time. Until you value your time, you won't do anything with it. That's from M. Scott Peck. Until you value yourself, you won't value your time. Until you value your time, you won't do anything with it. I'm going to read what I wrote about this here in a second, but I wrote this that I'm about to tell you and then deleted it because it just didn't make sense. But one of my favorite ways to waste time is to look on Facebook Marketplace for weird stuff, the kind of weird stuff I'm into, old project cars and antique doors and whatever, just stuff, right? But then there's also stuff that I need for the shop and the business that I'm always kind of keeping an eye on. And most of the things that I see, I don't get because I'm not going to go get them because time is my most valuable commodity. And I know that I can't get more of it. I can get more money. I can get more stuff. I just can't get more time. But you would be amazed at how many people will drive something across town to you because you promised to pay them $25 in cash for this thing that is worth $25. Most people don't value their time. It's insane. And I think that you got to think about, why would you drive 20 minutes to me for $20 to bring me a thing that's worth $20? It just blows my mind how many people just don't value their time. But anyway, until you value your time, until you value yourself, you won't value your time. And until you value your time, you won't do anything with it. In last week's podcast, I really got on a soapbox about this part of this thing. There's a real possibility that this is your only 100-year period in the entire sweep of the universe to have a physical form and opposable thumbs. Right? Think about that. This is it, potentially. How could you possibly squander that opportunity? If that's true, and you only get one go round, or even let's just say you get 10 lifetimes. Let's just say, that's amazing, right? Because I often say, I feel like I could make good use out of 600 years. And I've got so much that I want to do. And that's true. But if you got 10 lifetimes, that's still only 1,000 years out of 13.8 billion and counting. Right? It's insane. The worth of each second, each second of your life is more valuable than any other thing in the universe. It is so rare. And yet here we all are squandering seconds. And maybe human life is set up such that it is difficult or impossible to truly live every second, whatever that means. But you got to try. And not to mention, and there's a link in the email about this, it's Andre de Shields, who plays Hermes in the musical Hadestown and is just a singular figure for many reasons. And there's a link in there where he talks about how you are the only you that will ever exist. And that is truer than you can ever imagine. That's how rare you are. So that means that even makes your seconds even more rare. And I just feel like until you value yourself, you won't value your time. And until you value your time, you won't do anything with it. And what a catastrophic waste. This singular existence in a blink of an eye in the universe, and we waste it. How tragic to not at least leave one thing in thanks to the universe for this opportunity. Okay, what I consumed this week, I was very narcissistic and egomaniacal, and the first thing is the link to episode 3 of How a Monumental Sculpture is Made, and it's also a giveaway. We're giving away, this is actually cool, you should go enter the contest. You can find it on the Instagram page. E.S. Schubert Sculpture is the Instagram page for the Sculpture Studio, so it's at ESSCHUBERT Sculpture, and you can enter the giveaway to win this big sculpture that we're making throughout the 8-week or 8-episode process and then giving it away. It's where my focus has been lately. It seems to be finding an audience. I feel like there's a lot of things. Like when I was in a band in college, someone told us, a successful person, was like, look, if you can just stay together for 5 years, you'll have some sort of success, because the first thing is just keep doing it long enough. So I just feel that way about the videos too. If we can just keep doing it long enough, keep learning from our mistakes and stuff, then it'll work, whatever work means. That's the first thing. The next thing, The Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern. I put this in last week because I had started reading it. Oh my gosh, I really love it. It is, I'm fully engaged in it now. I haven't finished it yet, so it could still go off the rails, but so far, so mysterious. It's very mysterious in a really good way. It's just the right amount of clues and just the right amount of mystery and magic that I really, really, really like it. I've been really into magic lately. Fantastical things and the possibilities of the multiverse and I'm not going to go off on a tangent on that, but I just am loving magical things lately. And then the last thing I consumed this week was Against the Rules podcast, where Michael Lewis is talking to Adam McKay, the director of The Big Short. Fascinating conversation. I really like Michael Lewis. And so I loved that. Of course, there's a couple of shorts that I link in here. Is David Bowie talking about creativity, and then a few shorts that I created, shorts of me talking about how I don't believe in talent, and just kind of a welcoming into the studio. So go to the email and check those out if you like it. And now we are on to what I am thinking about this week. And surprise, surprise, it is magic and your work. I was working on the sculpture that we're giving away the other day, and I was listening to music, and I spontaneously recorded a reel that I linked to in the email. I was listening to the song Only Children by Jason Isbell. I also linked to that song in there. God, such a good song. So you should go look at that reel. It'll help this make a little bit more sense. It's in the email. Yeah, it's on Instagram and YouTube. But anyway, you can link it in the email. I'm not going to try to tell you the links because whatever. If you don't want to go watch it, that's fine. It's worth watching, both of them. Even if you don't like Jason Isbell, he's just such a good songwriter. And I talk about in the reel how everyone else's work feels like magic. And I have to work hard at all of my creative stuff, all of the creative things in my life, whatever it is. And I try to be very creative in my life, even like in our backyard, right? I mean, I try to infuse creativity into my life. That's actually one of the best things I learned in art school. I have never felt like I shared in the effortless talent of some of the people around me my entire life. And that was true like on the basketball court when I was in high school, right? I was a hard worker. I've always known that that's what I had to offer. But then some guys, gosh dang it, one of my best friends is just such a natural, effortless athlete. And it was also true in the long hours of studio classes in art school, right? Some people, it was just like, dang it, I'm over here working my butt off and you are just making masterpieces. And it's also been true in various business groups as an adult, right? Some people just seem, to me, it just seems easier for them and comes more effortlessly. And it has always felt like hard work for me. And thank goodness for that. Because of those early lessons and those constant reinforcement, I learned to love the work, which is good in two ways. One way I'm not going to talk about. If you learn to love the work, then you have to love the work. You don't tolerate terrible situations that are life-sucking. That's a separate thing. We'll talk about that later. But I have known many people who were seduced by their early talent and then gave up when it got hard. As it always inevitably will. I don't care how talented you are. at anything, there will come a time in your life where it doesn't come easy. And if you don't have the character for one reason or another to be ready for that, that can often be a derailer. There really isn't anything else in life other than the work. And I mean that about every part of life. It comes in many different forms, and each of us has many different frontiers where we are doing different kinds of the work, right? And at their core, they're all the same. You're building your skills in an uncertain, untested environment on the frontier of your ability. That is what the work is. And so the work is all sliding scale, right? The work for an artist in kindergarten is different than the work for a 48-year-old artist. The work for a parent of a newborn is different than the work for a parent of a teenager. That's one of the frustrating things about being a parent, right? It's just when you think you've got it figured out, the age and stage changes, and so you're on a new frontier. And all of the lessons you learn don't really matter for this kid you have right in front of you. But other people's creative stuff can feel like magic to us because we don't witness the sausage being made. And it's actually, sidebar, it's actually a great gift that we are able to witness just the magic of other people's work. Because like the magic of Disney World is nice to live in. The effortlessness of a Michelangelo sculpture is beautiful to behold. The fantasy of Tolkien is wonderful to be able to escape into. And I don't always want to see the greasy trash cans behind the Main Street facade at Disneyland, or to hear Michelangelo cursing at the rough, unfinished stone, or to be sucked out of the fantasy of Tolkien by reading a rough draft of The Hobbit. Now, I will say, sometimes I do want to go see the basement of Disney World, etc., right? Sometimes I want to see that, but then that's the thing I'm seeing. I'm not existing in the magic. And if I had to... If you had to consume other people's work alongside of their fully polished magic, I think it would make it suck a little more. It wouldn't feel like magic, and that would take you out of the moment. So it's a great gift, on one hand, that we are able to witness the magic of other people's creative output without also having to pay tribute to their work. We need their work to seem easy so that we can fully enjoy it. And we need our work to be hard so that we can create magic. Because if you fall in love with the work and not the product, then there is a chance that just a few times in your life, you will make something that transcends your abilities and feels like magic even to you. And now, I'm not promising this to you. Not everybody gets to hit a Grand Slam home run. Going to the major leagues does not mean you will hit a Grand Slam. And that sucks a little bit, but the work is still worth doing. But sometimes if you've sat in the chair long enough, the magic appears even for you. And no one is a genius. I'll stand on this. No one is a genius. And I think this is borne out by the fact that people who we call geniuses, most of them at least the ones you would want to hang out with, don't think they're a genius. They just think they're a hard worker. So no one is a genius. But sometimes when we are diligent chaperones of all of the creativity that the universe is offering to us, and I mean it is offering ideas up to us all the time, and that is one of the dangers of not respecting the muse. It will stop sending ideas your way. More is more, less is less. But if you're a diligent chaperone of all the creativity the universe is offering to you, then every once in a while you get the opportunity to welcome the spirit of a genius into your work and make something that is greater than your current abilities. It's like a quantum leap in your abilities. It's like a 1 + 1 = 3 situation. But the prerequisite to that is an interminable amount, interminable? That's the word I'm thinking. Amount of time in the chair doing the work. so much work that you've forgotten even that this magical moment could happen, and then it happens. There's almost no way to get there as a novice, because you wouldn't even notice it. You'd be like, oh, whatever, I'm amazing. Magic stuff pours out of me. And I mean, isn't that the thing about life, right? That it's sad and beautiful. It's hard and wonderful. I think, it's when I was young, I didn't understand why there had to be death in order for life to matter. And now I do. And it doesn't mean it's not sad, but it also is the reason for the beauty. And I mean that in the same way I mean that in order for you to truly appreciate the magic, you have to be used to doing the work. And so there's a link to the TED Talk from Liz Gilbert about genius in the email, and you should go listen to it if you haven't ever listened to it. And if you have listened to it, you should listen to it again, because it's one of the best TED Talks in the history of TED Talks. Coming from a person who knows, like a person who's just recently lived the experience of this, and I think you should go watch it. But I just need to tell you that it is the state of the universe for your work to feel like a slog, to feel hard and ugly and coarse and kludgy and not well thought out like everyone else's, and for everyone else's work to feel like magic to you. That is the way of the universe. That's what you've signed up for. So love it and don't hate it, because that is like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm just saying that, I'm kind of telling you how to live your life. Soapboxing. Well, you can always stop listening. But that is freedom. There is liberation in loving the work that you're doing and occasionally being surrounded by moments of sublime beauty and recognizing them because you're so used to doing the work. That's it. That's what I got this week. There's a great reward for reading the email newsletter this week is this great Jesse Jackson. I am somebody. It's really good. It's a whole bunch of kids. It's really delightful. And you should, if you listen to that, you should picture yourself as a kindergartner sitting in that audience, your current self. You should make your current adult self a kindergartner and sit and listen to him saying that. And you should say it back to him, because we all need that reminder sometimes, because you are somebody. And then the read time link, this is the link at the beginning, is just a reminder of what it means in how you treat the least among us, by one of the great scholars of our time, one of the great sages, one of the wisest people to have ever written down words. Just a reminder of what we owe to each other. And I hope you're out there holding your signs today. If you are, that's great. If you don't know what I mean, then I hope you have a wonderful day. And we'll see you next week.